this has to do with that threat that Donald Trump has made to impose 25% tariffs on Canada as early as Saturday. Donald Trump making the threat saying, listen, he wants to see improvements at the northern and southern border, threatening both Mexico and Canada with these tariffs. The latest deadline being February 1st. What we can confirm, according to multiple sources speaking to both CBC News and Radio Canada, is that later today, at some point today, the Canadian officials will be presenting Trump officials with a new video trying to highlight the changes to border security, engaging in active scenes showing border enforcement operations as a way to try to convince those around Donald Trump, and possibly the video even making it to Trump himself, that would be the goal, to try and persuade him. According to multiple sources, one senior Canadian government source as well, that the Trump people have been saying to Canada, listen, Donald Trump wants to be convinced. He wants to see evidence that things are changing at the northern border. And one of the ways to do that is to send video. We can also report, according to a senior Canadian source, that video has been sent in the past, including within the last couple of weeks. Video of Black Hawk helicopters, those newly acquired U.S. Black Hawk helicopters landing in the snow, highlighting, Canadian terrain, showing that they are operational, as well as, other sort of high-level conversations to really make that point. CBC News can also report that the Prime Minister today told the premiers that he had a substantive meeting with Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick is Donald Trump's point person for the Commerce Department. This meeting happened secretly on the sidelines of the Prime Minister's recent trip to Krakow, to Poland. I am told that the meeting was substantial. It lasted about an hour. All of these meetings that Canada is participating in are really aimed at trying to convince Trump administration officials that Canada should not be hit with these 25% tariffs, or any tariffs for that fact. And it's part of the wider spread effort that is underway. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, Melanie Joly, will be in Washington today to meet with the new U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, where those efforts will again be underway. But again, according to sources from both CBC News and Radio Canada, we are learning that there is a new video that Canada has produced to try to present to those Trump officials.
Okay, that's interesting. And also that little side meeting that took place with the Prime Minister, also interesting. So, Katie, this comes on the day when Canada is learning more about how the Trump administration views tariffs. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that meeting with Howard Lutnick is probably pretty important, pretty significant, because Howard Lutnick is Donald Trump's #1 cheerleader when it comes to tariffs. And much of his Senate confirmation hearing today was about that. And he sort of described a warning to Canada. It looks like the Trump administration is planning a potential 1-2 punch when it comes to tariffs. They've got the threatened tariffs of 25% that could come into effect as early as Saturday. And that's related to Donald Trump wanting changes at the northern and southern U.S. border. It's a threat against Canada, threat against Mexico. And so that's one aspect of the tariff strategy. And then there's a second potential threat, and that is after Donald Trump and his team start studying U.S. trade practices. You'll remember on Inauguration Day, Donald Trump signed a memorandum saying, hey, Trade Department, hey, Commerce Department, we want you to study all of these trade practices in the world. Look for anything that's unfair to America. Find out what it is. Look to see what needs to be changed, and then we'll go to our trading partners to demand it be changed, Canada being a target of that. Those results are expected sometime in April, and the way that Howard Lutnick explained it is that it would be a separate sort of longer-term tariff strategy as a way to sort of, say, hey, we're putting tariffs on these products because we want to bring manufacturing back to the United States. In the long term, it could, or in the short term, it could raise prices on some goods. He did admit that and acknowledge that. It could be harder for Americans, but he's trying to think long-term strategy here in terms of rebuilding American manufacturing. So for Canadians, consider it a potential 1-2 tariff punch. One set of tariffs related to the threat of the northern border and demands Donald Trump has to improve it, and then a separate tariff threat when it comes to dealing with just trade practices in general. We don't know any sort of details about that, but that is going to be studied and under investigation, and all of those trade officials will go back to Donald Trump and say, hey, here's how we can make trading better for America. Here's how we can get more of an advantage. These are the kinds of tariffs we could use in that situation. But again, the study has to be done, and it has to go that way.
The CBC's Katie Simpson in Washington.